I'm sorry I'm not with you at the O2. Here I am outside Parliament. And listen, there are two things we've got to do right. There are two problems with our country. The first is that we don't have politicians who genuinely put this country first, who think that their primary duty, their exclusive duty really, is to the voters who put them into power. And you know that famous anecdote that David Goodhart, the journalist, wrote about in one of his books. He described sitting between the head of the British Civil Service and the head of the BBC at an Oxford dinner, and the two of them talking across him and agreeing with each other that their duty, their responsibility was not to the British people, even though they had the word British in their organisations. Their duty was to humanity, to the world at large, to international norms. That is the problem with the British establishment and the British state. We've got to get politicians who recognise that their obligation is to the values and the interests of the British people. That's a simple point, but it's one that is totally alien to so many of the people who run our country. And the second problem is this, because even if you had politicians who genuinely did want to put the interests of the British people first, and I'm sure that all the MPs and politicians talking to you today think they do, the second problem is that they can't do anything about it, because the government doesn't control the government. The people that we elect to run the state are not in charge of the state. And we've seen that in three ways just this week. So on Monday, we debated three topics in the House of Commons. The first was on the China spy case. So down the river here is MI6. The civil servants decided that it was inappropriate to inform the elected government, the politicians, of what was going on. And so the civil servants, they stitched up that whole issue and left politicians in Parliament out of the question. And so MPs are just saying we didn't know what was going on. The ministers couldn't do anything about it. The second thing we debated from the Foreign Office over the road there, the Chagos deal. Again, the system decided that international law was more important than parliamentary sovereignty over British national territory. So the MPs, government, couldn't do what they wanted with the sovereign territory of the UK because there was some other obligation. And then the third thing, down the road, beyond Parliament, is Scotland Yard, the police. The police decided this week they were going to ban Jewish fans from coming to watch a British football game. And the MPs, and I challenged the ministers on this in Parliament this week, MPs, I'm afraid to say, from all parties except Reform, Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, all said, operational independence, we don't like this decision, we disapprove of it, we think the police should have done something different. But we, the government of this country, cannot intervene to overturn what is blatantly a political decision with major political implications. So those are the things we need to change. Get the government in charge of the government and get politicians who genuinely put the national interest first. And people, the good news is we can fix this. Those are the causes of our problems. All the barriers to growth, all the blockers that get in the way of prosperity, all the stupid decisions that go against common sense, against the national interest, are because we don't have politicians who put our people first and because we have a government that is not in charge of the government. We've got to fix those two things. And if we do that, we will release the enormous animal spirits of this country, all the pent-up prosperity and ingenuity and innovation and growth, and just basic decency and fairness and compassion that this country is so grateful. Those are the things that we will have if we get a government right. And so to end with this political point, I respect politicians from all parties. You'll be hearing from good people today. But there is only one party that really is committed to doing these two things: a government of national preference and putting political, elected politicians in charge of the state itself. Only Reform will do that. We are not split. We are not bound by a legacy set of decisions which have got the country into the mess they're in. So what we need is your help, because we can't do this on our own. To get ready for government in a couple of years' time, we're going to need a huge amount of help from brilliant, entrepreneurial, passionate, committed, patriotic people to help us prepare. So please get in touch if you want to do that. I genuinely think we can make this country great again. We, the Reform Party, with the support of the people, winning a mandate for change to tell the state that they're going to obey the interests of the British people and they're going to do what they're told to. That's our mission. We need your help. Please get involved and get in contact. Thank you so much.